For even their women, leaving the natural use of women, burned in their lusts for one another. For this cause, God gave them up unto vile affections, even women for women's lusts. And as a result of that, women were given over to sexual appetites of all kinds. Okay, let's break this down a little bit. First of all, who are them in this passage? Well, we know from the context that Paul is talking about people who have rejected God, who have not pleased God, and therefore God has given them over to a sinful lifestyle, which includes sexual immorality. So them refers to people who are living according to the flesh, people who are not walking with God, but they're walking in their own desires and their own lusts. Now what do you have here? You have women who are burning in their lusts. What kind of lusts? Well, the Greek word here used for lusts is actually a very interesting word. It's the word epithumio, and it means an intense, unquenchable craving or desire. So these women, along with men, by the way, later on in this chapter, it'll say the men likewise. But these women and these men have an intense, unquenchable craving or desire for sexual immorality. And it says that the women, this is the verse before, they have left the natural use of women. Now, what does that mean? Well, it simply means that they have left the role that God has assigned to them, and they've gone outside of that role, and they've gone into the role of men. Because back in those days, back in the days of Rome, there were prostitutes, and there were also women who had businesses. Women who owned businesses, and women who were in positions of leadership. And so this was very shocking for people to see women in these types of positions, because back then, in that culture, women were supposed to be subservient to men. They were not supposed to have any kind of business or leadership role. They certainly weren't supposed to be having sex with other women. So Paul says that they have left the natural use or the natural role that God has assigned to them. And then it says that for this cause, God gave them up unto vile affections. What does that mean? Well, basically, God allowed them to have their way because they rejected God. God said, you want to do what you want to do? You don't want to obey me? You don't want to come to me? You don't want to follow my ways? Okay, I'm going to give you what you want. So God gave them up to vile affections, to shameful lusts, and women were given over to sexual appetites of all kinds. So basically, you have people who are sexually immoral, who are living according to their flesh, who have an intense craving and desire for sexual immorality. And because they've rejected God, God has given them over to their lusts, and now they're burning in their lusts. Well, what should we learn from this passage? Well, we should learn that if we live according to the flesh, if we live according to our own desires and our own lusts, if we walk in our own ways, then we will face the consequences of our actions. And those consequences may be that God allows us to have our way, but it'll be very destructive and very damaging to us. Because it says that they're burning in their lusts, and it's an unquenchable fire that can never be satisfied. Well, I hope that this helps you. If you have any questions about this passage, feel free to leave them in the comment section below.